Good evening and thank you all for joining us today. Welcome to Microsoft Reactor Bangalore livestream event. My name is Rashmita and I'm the event planner for Bangalore Reactor. In today's session, our speaker will talk about how to build and scale Java application on Azure using Azure services. As all of you already met Vivek, I would now again like to welcome Vivek for today's session. Vivek is a tech enthusiast and open source contributor with around 15 years of experience in the software industry. He works at Microsoft as a senior developer product marketing manager. But before we start our session, quick word on our code of conduct. The key thing to take out here is to be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat will be open throughout and we do encourage you all to participate. Also, please keep your mics muted during the session. I'll be sharing the event code and the survey link during the session. Please take a look in the chat section and do send your feedback to us. It will help us curate topics that better suits our audiences. But for now, I'll hand over to Vivek to begin the session. Over to you, Vivek.
Hey, Rishmita, thanks. Let me share my slide. Can you see my slide?
Yes, Vivek.
Okay, thank you. So today's agenda, I'm to be very honest, I'm really excited to kickstart Azure Java Days. This is something uh, which is something which we were in talks with the Azure Java, Java user groups, and they expressed that Java developers need an Azure specific specific sessions so that we can help Java developers to understand and build on cloud. So this is something we were working with Java user groups, and we thought, okay, we will do a 2 day session and focus on a couple of areas which helps the developers. So coming to today's session, what I'll be doing is I'll be spending time on Azure Platform. So understanding Azure Platform itself, right? So many of you might be really new to the Azure Platform, and you will not be having an idea on how to build a resource or create a resource. And sometimes I know I get developers pinging me that I don't know how to delete a resource. I've created something. Is it billing me or not? I mean, they were scared. So I just want to make sure that you're comfortable using Azure and you understand the structure and how exactly you can work with the resource. That is something which I will focus on as a first part of the session, and it's more from how we can work with the Azure App Service. So this is to build and deploy a simple application into an app service, is into a PaaS layer, and how you can use Azure Spring Cloud, and also we will see how to build and deploy Java containers. So it's basically writing a Docker file, building something, and packaging it, and then how do we use different services of Azure to deploy an application, right? So that's been the agenda. Let us begin. Before I start, this is my introduction. People who don't know me, that's me, and being part of IBM, being part of HCL as a DevOps solution architect. I was heading DevOps at Blackberg, been a co-founder, developer advocate, and today I'm part of Microsoft as a developer product marketing manager. So let's deep dive. So there are no more slides. So this whole session is all about doing hands-on and going through all the different services which we have. And at the end of this session, I'll probably give you around 8 to 10 hours of learning material. It's a learning path, and it's a learning material. And if you want to, as a Java developer, if you want to be a fully equipped with Azure platform, it's you just need to spend those 10 hours to 8 hours of learning with the exercises which it has. And once you spend time on that, you really are an expert on Azure. So that's something I'll share at the end of this session. Let me deep dive into the couple of things which I wanted to show you. Um, so first of all, I wanted to talk through about how does a resource get deployed on Azure. Uh, what are the things whenever you're creating something in Azure. These are the things which will be basic things which you need to provide in Azure to create a resource. So now coming back to the real question, what is a resource? A resource is a simple application you spin up in Azure. It's like you're spinning a virtual machine. You're spinning a simple network or simple serverless machine or serverless service. Everything is a resource. So just keep this in mind. The smallest unit in Azure is called a resource, right? And whenever you get into Azure portal, uh, the first thing you will do is to create a resource. When you create a resource, it gets associated into Azure resource group. So Azure resource group is a logical grouping of these resources. So when I say logical grouping, when to use this, right? When to group things, right? Where you might have a developer environment, QA environment, production environments. So you want to group a couple of resources into dev environment. You want to group a couple of resources into production environment. So you want to group them and name them, and you can either create it together, delete together, or even manage or apply a couple of things, a couple of access together. So it's a logical grouping. That's it. So there is nothing new about it. There is a resource, and then there is a resource group, which is a logical grouping of these resources. So whenever you spin up, say Azure App Service, Spring Boot, other services, you can group them into one resource group, and use it, and you can delete via these resource group or search via these resource group, and delete the only required resources. Okay, so again, there is Azure subscription. So what does Azure subscription do is very similar to resource group. Each resource groups are associated to Azure subscription, but Azure subscription is more from a control perspective. It works with Azure resource managers. So I'll go deep dive into resource manager, and then we can see how this all fits in, so that it will help you understand how does Azure's Resource Manager work. So Azure Resource Manager is very simple to understand, right? It's just a REST API endpoint. Obviously, there are different set of clients which will talk to the Resource Manager, and this Resource Manager externally talk to the other services or Azure subscription and other things which is available out there. So um, just to give you, just before I started this talk, somebody was mentioning, are you going to use Azure CLI portal, or what services you're going to use as a front end, right? So there are different set of clients which we have. One is Azure portal, Azure CLI, and PowerShell, and Visual Studio, where it's extension again, but it does talk to the REST API endpoint. Um, and it the resource manager is, you whenever you provide any kind of input, you type in a CLI command, it actually interacts with the REST API endpoint. Okay, so this is how it is structured. There are clients, there is Azure Resource Manager, there is REST endpoint which it connects through, and obviously Azure subscription, resource group, and resources are still there, and now we will connect it later. So Azure Resource Manager is not directly responsible for doing any activities. So it has something called as Azure Resource Provider at the bottom. And whenever there is whenever there is a request coming in, this Azure Resource Manager works with the Azure Resource Group to create different set of resources or Azure Resource Providers. It uses this set of services or um, you know available modules to run your request. So this is how it works. So let's imagine you are using a PowerShell or and you're requesting to spin up a VM. It goes through Azure Resource Manager, and then it identifies which resource provider you're requesting, that is VM service, and then it goes into the required subscription resource group and resource, and then spins up a new VM for you, right? And then you know it's more important, these are just the high level, right? But whenever someone spin up something, they have to be verified, right? If they are part of the Azure portal itself, right? You're part of the Azure, you have an account and you have the access to create these services. So this Azure Active Directory provides you. There is a trust which it provides, and it creates tenants. So, for example, within an organization, you might have um, a HR department, marketing department, development and production department, which is responsible for deploying an application. But there are other departments which uses cloud and which have their own applications to run internally. So these are this is how tenants are built. There is a tenant for each. Probably you will create for each department, and there is a user. It verifies whether he is part of this specific tenant or not. So each tenant is associated to an Azure subscription. That's how Azure subscription comes into picture. So Azure subscription is associated to Azure Active Directories each tenant. So it verifies whether this user is associated to this subscription when he spins up something, and then uh, you know it verifies the access, right? You should have permission to spin up something. So whether it's called role based access control. So Azure has various things: owner, reader, a user administration manager. So all these roles are available by default. You can also create one. So it verifies those things, and then there is a resource policy, right? Whether these resources, these actions can be performed by this particular user on these resources. So there is a policy which you can enable, and that policy is again applied on top of the Azure subscription, and it goes through the tenant and other things. So coming back to the again, limit and other things which is there, it is to verify the limit, how much limit you have to spin up something. And then there is finance control, whether you have given the proper details with respect to the your finance payment and other things. So I will leave out those things, but this is how you can go back and think about it. And this is how Azure as a whole thing, how you can deploy your resources in Azure. Okay, keep that in mind, because couple of CLI commands where I'm going to use resource names, I'm going to use resource group names, and also application name and other things. So don't get confused. Just remember the structure which I explained, and use those structure so that you can understand the complete demos which I'm doing. Okay, so let us go back and see how we can use the Azure App Service at start. Okay, so there is um, there's already a code which I'm going to copy it. Okay, so it's a GitHub code which is available. You can also go back and download it and play around. If you don't want to use this code, you can go back and create your own. If you go to the start.spring.io, I'm using Spring Boot. If you go here, you can build your Spring, web and other things, and you can select whatever version you want, and you can provide all the details here and generate. And once you generate, you will get that package, and you can just unzip it, and you will be able to edit those code which is there, and then just deploy it. So I have this code already, and I'm going into um, one of the directory. Okay. And so basically what I'm trying to do here is, I'm I'm actually deploying uh, you know Spring Spring Boot application to the app service, right? So this is the configurations which I want to provide in the Maven. So this is how I can provide the configurations. I'm using the plugin which is there, and I'm just configuring it. So I'm just configuring the app to be deployed onto the Azure App Service. Okay, so it asks me some of the questions, and I'm going to provide a couple of things. So what is Azure App Service? Azure App Service is nothing but a PaaS layer where you can.
Sorry to interrupt. I think, are you sharing your screen? Because participants can't see the screen. That's what, they are messaging.
Oh, is it?
I am
Yeah,
able to see.
I'm able to see.
Okay, there are
Yeah, even I am able to see.
few folks who are just writing that they can't see. So
I'm not able to see.
I'm
I don't.
also not able to see.
I mean, is it visible? It's not visible. I don't know.
It's
I think.
visible for me, Vivek.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay.
I guess you
Okay.
need to
So I
click
think
on the sharing in progress. There is a right hand side end of that screen, sharing in progress. Just click on it so that you can see.
sorry, I didn't get you.
There is a option called sharing in progress at the end of the page. So just click on that sharing in progress so that you can see that sharing.
Yeah, it is. It is sharing. It's in progress, so I can see people. It's fine. I think even I can see.
Yeah, so when I click on that one, so I can see the sharing screen. So you guys just try that option.
Okay, so I can proceed, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. Uh, okay. So basically, what I'm trying to do is to just use Azure App Service. Azure App Service is nothing but a PaaS layer where you can just host an application and keep run the application and scale the applications, and provide your required information with respect to what kind of infrastructure you want, and scale that application to using that infrastructure. So when I use the plugin, Maven plugin with config, it is asking me a couple of questions, and one is to whether you want to use Linux OS. Yes, I want to use Linux OS. And it is asking what is a pricing model you want to pick. So I'm just picking the first one. It's a simple one. And which Java version you want to deploy. I'm picking the Java 8. And there are a couple of things which is there, and I'm just deploying this specific thing into the cloud. I mean, I've just built the um, whole Spring Boot application. So now I just want to deploy it. So it's super easy. Just go and say Maven package deploy. It's already there, and I'm just deploying through Azure Web App, which is part of that Maven thing. So before I do this, I had done all the setup. So what are those setups which I have taken as, so obviously I have Maven, I have Java, I have all the required stuff which I need to run, and Azure CLI and other things which are also part of it. And you know all these setup is integrated, and it is deploying this particular package now. And if you see, there is no issues with the package, and it just came with test run one. And it is just couple of things, and then it deploys this application. It creates, so I have given all the information to this POM file, right? So I just gave them which service plan to use, Linux, and all the other details. So it creates an app service plan. It creates a web app directly into the Azure App Service, and then it provides me with the link from where I can access this application. So this is how you can easily build it. So I can go back here and create create a application. And if you see the application here, let me show you the code as well. So if you see the code is very simple, it's there, and a couple of things which you can add to it. um, so it's very simple. So go there, build your build your Spring Boot, generate the file, generate the package, just make changes, write code which you want to deploy, and come back here and just run the configuration. And once you run the configuration, you just use the Maven deploy command. And once you use the deploy command, it uses the configurations which you have provided, and it goes back and deploys this in Azure. And from an Azure perspective, right? So there is, let me show you the Azure as well. So from an Azure perspective, as of now, it is not yet deployed. So it is deploying. So let's wait for some. So it has deployed service plan, but it is still deploying this app service. So it is, yes, it is coming here. Let us wait for it to complete. So it takes some time to deploy. Um, let's wait for it to deploy. By the time it deploys, just give it a minute. It should deploy. The app service. Cool, it's done. So basically, it was so easy for me. It was, just code is there, just take it and deploy to Azure App Service. Now the code will be running here. This is the link where you can access. So let us go back here and run the code. So sometimes the code will take some time to deploy the package. So while that happens, we will go back and I'll show you how to create a Azure Spring Cloud, and how to deploy the same package which we just built into the Spring Cloud, and how we can really make use of it. Let's go back and create a resource. And when you in Azure, it's pretty easy, right? Just type anything which you are looking for from a create resource perspective, or else you go to Azure Spring Cloud, create a new one, I have already created one. It would, since it takes time to create, I don't want to spend a lot of time in that. Um, so I'll say I'm going to use Java Spring. I'm going to give, as I told you, right? This is how it will be structured. For anything you create in Azure, it is more from a subscription and a resource group, and you provide these details. And this name will be Spring Cloud. You can choose anything. You can choose however you want. And then I'm keeping it all like logs I want, and applications insights I want, tags and everything. And then I just review and then create, right? When I click on create, it gets created. So this is what I've done. I've just clicked on create and it gets created. So I don't want to go back and spend time in terms of creating. So there is already a service which is already running. And I also have a couple of apps which is on top of this. I'll show you how to do that. Um, Let us go back here and see. Okay, so this is what we were building, right? The code was just, it was just a print statement with, greetings from Spring Boot. So what we essentially did was, from an app service perspective, um, we had code, and we just made sure that through using the Java Maven, we were able to configure it to be deployed onto the Azure App Service. And once it was configured, we were able to go back and deploy it using the Maven deploy command. That's it. I know it was so simple to deploy this particular Springboard, right? And even you can deploy an API, you can deploy a simple application, all these things using this. So now what we'll do is we'll take the same thing and we'll go and deploy it on the Spring Cloud. Okay, so we already have a Spring Cloud. I showed you how to go back and create a Spring Cloud. This is how we created a Spring Cloud, and obviously there is already an app I have created, but we can change the app or create new one, anything which is easier for us. So let me go back and um, what we'll do. So let's see. This is in the complete app service. Okay, we'll go back here and go back to our code. We'll close this off, and then we will open a new code which we have in the app service we just downloaded. We'll open this. Okay, now we have the code. Then what we will do is change the code to Azure Spring Cloud. Okay, and now this is a new core, right? So this is completely having a different core altogether. And now we will go back. I hope this works. And what we should be doing. So we should go back and I need to open the file to documents, code, Java on Azure, and obviously you need to have extension. So there are a couple of things, I have Azure CLI extension. I have installed Azure CLI. I have installed Maven, JDKs. I have JRE, everything set. So that's how I'm using it. So before you start using any of these things, you need to use it I mean, you need to have that setup. So this is the extension which is already installed. I just don't want to spend more time there. So before I start anything, I need to um, clean the code which we had. So this is under the same thing. I'll go here and use clean and then recreate the package. Let's hope it gets created. It is created, and uh, so hopefully it's created. Yeah, cool. Um, the package is ready. So all we need to do is to use Azure CLI command to connect to the app and create. So this is a command which we can use. Um, this is the one which you can use to create an app. So I have already created an app which is already there. We can obviously go back and create a new one, but let us reuse that itself. So I don't want to spend time in creating new apps. um, Here is an way to deploy it. So what I'm doing is I'm providing the jar file details before I deploy, and obviously these are uh, resource group name. These are nothing but the resource name, right? That is the reason why I was spending time in explaining you what are those things. So when you go back to the Spring Cloud, let me show you that. So this is a service name which I have used, and this is the resource group name. Okay, so that's how most of the CLI commands will be used with the resource group name and the service names, right? So let me go back um, to the code. I'll just deploy this via the this is before the target. So I'm in the right location and there is a target folder, and I just need to make sure I have the command set. Uh, this is a simple Azure Spring Cloud app deployment. I have already created the app. We saw that there is already a CLI command as well to create one, and also there is you can do it via the UI as well. There are different set of services which is available out there, so you can definitely use that. So I'm just using this command to get started. Okay, so it takes some time. It uploads the package which was created, um, and it will take some time. I hope um, you know people are able to see this. There's no issue with. Mm. Okay,
Yes,
so
we are
this
able to
is
see.
it. Thank you for confirming it. Just give a minute and you will be able to see the code deployed. And this is a command to get logs. So if you remember, while creating the Azure Spring Cloud, I had set that I want to get access to logs and application insight. So application insights give you more information related to the metrics and other things, and logs gives you the information on the logs, which is provide from a detailed logging, which is again designed by the developers, from a different logging parameters, right? Info, debug, and other things on errors and stuff like that. So this is something you can use it. This is the last 100 lines. It will show up again. If you see, it is using the name of the service, uh, you know the resource group and other things. So uh, every other Azure CLI command makes use of these things. So keep that in mind and follow those set of intricacies. So it has deployed, as of now, it has deployed a different code. Let us go back and uh, see the app. We'll access the app. The app deployment is successful, and this is the URL to access the app. Okay, let me go back here and type this. So see that. So um, the code, the same code. One we did the Azure App Service deployment, and the same code. After changing the code and everything, we are deploying it into the Azure Spring Cloud. And then both of them are obviously Spring Boot apps, and it is deployed in two different ways and two different use cases. Tomorrow you will see in-depth design of this, how a monolithic application can be converted into a microservice application, and using deployments, using Azure Spring Cloud, how to deploy, and various Kubernetes integrations also is a part of the demo. So I think tomorrow it will be a more of an in-depth conversation in the morning. But today, I just wanted to show you how to get started with Azure Spring Cloud from a Spring Boot perspective. So this was a simple step to get started. But now, what I'll do is I'll deep dive into completely different set of things. One is um, how to containerize a Java application, and how to use a container to deploy to a container registry, Azure Container Registry, and how to use that container registry to deploy the applications on Azure container instances. So it's basically a way to build and deploy your containers in cloud. So let me go to my, it's not in app service, is it here? Yeah. So I have the code built, so let me open that code itself and show you how exactly it is. Let me close this. Okay, let me do a view toggle, and we can also see the logs if you want. I'll just type in that, and we can. I don't need to. Sorry. So let's wait for that logs to come in. But by the time it comes in, I'll just show you. Okay, let me close this off and have this. Okay, so this is a simple code which is getting the latest date and time, and then printing something. So let us say, hi developers, thanks for joining Azure Java Day. Okay, so this is a simple code, but this is the Docker file which is there, and I've almost used everything from a Docker, the from, and how to copy and work directory and running command and entry point. Everything is almost there. I've missed out some few more commands which we need to use in a Docker file, but this is how Docker file can be built. So if you see, I've used OpenJDK. From OpenJDK 8 is what I'm building this out. but you can also use something like latest or something like other tags which is available. And I don't want to go in depth with how to build a Dockerfile and other stuff, but from a Java perspective, you already know how you can get started. And this is a simple code which is there, and I have a Docker file. And now what I'll go and do, this is the logs which is coming from the Azure Spring Boot. Okay, so that's just to show you how it works. So let us go back and show you my Docker images which I have. Let me reduce the size so that you can see the Docker files. Cool. Docker images. Sorry. Okay, so you can see my Docker images, which is already there. And you know, I just want to build the code. I already have the Docker file in the root directory and code and other things, which is already available here. So all I need to do is to build the Docker, build the Docker file and create a image and use that image as a part of the container and stuff like that. Okay, so let me go back and Docker build. So I have done the build of version 1. I'll go and do the version 2 because I changed the code. So I'll just do the version 2 of it, and you can see it takes some time to build it. Since I have already uh, you know used OpenJDK 8, if you see here in Docker images, uh, it is already there. So that is the reason why it took very less time to build. If I had will use the different one apart from 8, it would take some time to install the JDK itself. So that is the beauty of using Docker as well, right? You can build images with different set of libraries and use it on the same box, and it does not really intersect between each other. So that's the one of the use cases of Docker. So let me go back and show you the image which we have. Version 2, it's here, right? So now I know obviously it is not running, so it is, you can either type run cff. uh, so it latest pro it uses some date, and um, this is the code which we edited, right? So let us use this. So right now I'm not using the Visual Studio. I'm just using my local local container setup. I'm using the code is in the local, I'm building it local and testing it out local. Now I want to deploy this in cloud. I want to take this application and I put it in cloud, and also take this application or the image to the container registry, uh, so that I can reuse these images, or anyone can reuse these images within your organization, right? So that is the reason why container registries are there, right? It is more of an artifacts, artifacts directory, right? So let us go back to our Visual Studio, and we will go and use the Docker plugin. And you might already see that version 2 is already here. And what I can do is I'll uh, push this to cloud. So it will tell me select the registry. I already have a registry created. So I'll just select Java on Azure. So it's pretty easy to create a registry. You go to go to portal, click on create registry, provide a resource group name, subscription is already there. Provide the name of the registry, and just get started. So obviously there are a couple of fields which you need to provide. I'll show you that anyways as part of the demo while this is getting deployed. So Java on Azure is the registry I'm going to use, and I'm going to give this is the name version 2, and it gets deployed. It's logging into my account and it is trying and deploying it. Just give me so it takes some time. So while this is happening, I'll just show you how to go back and drive, create an Azure container registry, right? So I'll just create a resource. As I told you, everything is in Azure is a resource. I always get started with the resource, and Azure container. Oops, I should say container. Oh, here it is. Just create. Same thing. Select whatever works for you, and the name. Give a simple name. Spring test. It will verify whether it is available or not. You can see here it should give, yep, and you select whatever the basic things which is required. Networking, in fact, go back here and say okay, encryption, tags, and then just go back here and create. Okay, so this is how simple it is to create one. So once you create, obviously it will be available on your dashboard. So just go to that. So this is my container registry. As of now, I've already created it, and you can see that there is something called access key. You need to go to that access key and enable it so that I can use this container registry within my other services. I can use container instances and other things with these cloud. So just go to access key, and I need to enable this, and it creates some passwords and other things which I can use it with the container instance. Okay, let us go back to this. So this has pushed the version 2 is in the repository right now. So we'll go back and see that where exactly it is in the container registry. So now you can see repository, and in my repository there is one app, and one app there are two tags. This is the one which we deployed. Okay, so now the code which was there on my laptop, I was able to build it. I was able to build an image of it, and obviously I was able to run it locally. But once I built it locally, I'm pushing it to the container Azure Container Registry, and now it is available on Container Registry. I just need to use container instance uh, to make use of the container which I just used, right? So let's go back, say Java Spring as a resource group. We'll call this as um, JDK vs test. So it is so there are different ways of accessing it. Image source, you can obviously use the Docker Hub, which is again Docker's container registry for you. You can host it there, or you can also use Azure Container Registry, which we are supposed to use, right? We have the image there. So it just picks the registry name which is already there. If you had created more, it would be listed. and there is image, we have only one, so it is already populated, but here there is different tags. So if I select the first tag, it will run as a uh, first version of my code. But if I select the version 2, which we built right now, right, like 10 minutes back, so we're going to use that and say, we can also change the size if you want to. There is nothing to change. We can use the simple, you know other things. I'll keep it very um, same, and I will not be changing anything. These are commands and other things which are very specific to containers, and you can provide those overriding commands and other things, instead of my entry point commands which I have, right? So those things I can anyways do the make the changes here, and then review and start with the container registry. So I'll just go back and say, hey, create new container instance, and it does get started. So it will take some time to deploy this. Just give it a minute. um, just give it a minute. It will take. By the way, let me show you other way around as well. You can also, this is Azure Registry, right? You can see that my apps are here. The app which I just deployed onto Azure Container Registry, it's also here. So you can also go back here and pull the image directly onto my local as well. So how we can do that as well? It's very simple. You just need to say pull image and provide the details. Before that, we can go back here and delete the image as well. Docker PS, it is running. Stop it if it is running. It is not running. Docker okay, I have removed here. It is not there in PS. Docker PS -8. It's not there here. It is Docker images. It's here. Docker remove. Um, well, all will remove this one. Docker RMI. Sorry, the wrong command. Cool. I need to force this as well. Okay, now I removed. Now again I'll go back and images and see whether it is removed. Yes, version 2 is not there. Okay, there's no version 2 here. So now I can go back and pull the image to my local. So you can see here I don't have version 2. It's pulling the image. It just pulls the image and hosts it on my local, and then we can use it locally. So this is how you can really make use of it. So if a developer, the other developer, he will definitely not have a version 2, because I had version 2 on my local and I just posted to container registry. And if a developer wants to use it, the other developer wants to use it, he'll just go and connect to the registry and says, just pull the tag 2 or the latest one and other things, and that is how it gets pulled, right? So that's one of the thing. Just give me 2 minutes to it takes some time to download. Okay, so my container instance is also ready now. So I just deployed the version 2, which we built, went directly onto the container instance. Now I just need to go to the resource. It would be running. The containers are already there. This is not a continuous execution, so don't, it gets terminated. So if you go to the logs, it would have shown you this is what the output is. So or usually containers are built to run some applications, which is where it is continuously running as an API or running as a web application so that you can access it. But I just in to demo this, I built it in such a way that you can actually see these, uh, see how it exactly it executing it. Okay, so this is how you can do. So it's very easy. I have a code. I built it. Once I built it, I just pushed it to the container registry, Azure Container Registry. From there, I'm just pushing it to container instance, and I'm able to make use of container instance as a tool, right? So I have my applications running. So you can simply build a Spring Boot application, which I have, convert that into a Docker file, and then just take it to the um, just take that Spring application to container instance and run that instance, and you'll be able to access that application itself. So this is one more way of deploying Java applications using different services, and it is the use cases are also different. This is for scaling purpose. Azure App Service is it's also for scaling, but it is also a resource based scaling. Container instance scales unlimitedly, and there is Spring Boot, Spring Cloud, Azure Spring Cloud more used from a microservice perspective, right? So that's how you can use. This is again completed. Let me go back to my CLI, Docker images, and you can see my version 2 is here now in my local, and all I need to do is Docker run and run this particular image, and you can see the code. So it's very simple. That's how you can build and use it. So I'll just go back to my slides. I did mention that in the start that I'm going to provide you with a learning material which has around 9 hours of learning, and you can see that I've created it, I've curated it, it's there. It's a 14 modules. It's a free, it's on Microsoft Learn. It's a step-by-step tutorials. There is exercises to do, which covers almost everything which I have done, and also covers some advanced things as well. So just access it through the above link which I have provided, which is very easy to remember, aka.ms, uh, Microsoft Reactor / Microsoft Reactor / Java on Azure. This is the event which we are all attending, right? So very simple to remember. Just go there and you can see on the right, this is available for you to use it. I'll also post this particular link in the chat. And here is something, a simple, if you are skilled on Azure and other things, get a chance to win Surface Go, just go back and submit your details. And if you are on LinkedIn, just go and update your skills on Microsoft and update those details, and you be part of that raffle. And I just wanted to talk about this because this is the event which is happening next week for Microsoft. This is purely for developers, purely for people who are building on Azure, who want to build on Azure and want to learn cloud. So it's basically go and register for build Microsoft and uh, there is something very interesting event in that um, you know Microsoft build, right? So one is the Java expert. You can talk to the Microsoft experts from a Java perspective. There are amazing people who will be part of that panel, and you can go back and ask them questions which you require, I mean, which you want to get answer for, and also get connected with them. So this is the link to access that particular event. So I will go back to the chat, and if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer. Yeah, I'll share those link now. Please share your questions either in chat or in, you can unmute and ask the questions. I did couple of things, one was to understand the Azure platform itself, how exactly you can deploy a resource. And then we saw how to do a Azure App Service. We have a code, we just, through Maven, we configured it, and through Maven, we deployed it. That's one way of deploying an application into Azure App Service. And then we use the same application and created a Azure Spring Cloud and then deployed that application into the Azure Spring Cloud itself. That is something which is another way of deploying, but it is use cases are different. Usually Azure Spring Cloud is used in the microservice in a very sophisticated way and using with Kubernetes and other things to scale it and other stuff. So it's the use case is completely different, but here it's only a package we want to execute Azure from an Azure App Service. But the next part was to containerize it and deploying it in different services and use of those containers, whether locally or to deploy to the Azure container instance. So these are three things which we covered. Uh, I specifically did not cover the functions because anyways we have a session on 28th of May where we are going to cover in depth of discussion on Azure functions and Azure DevOps and other things. Do join in. It's in the Reactor itself, so I would request everyone to join in there. But that is a and that is what we covered. And tomorrow, anyways, we have an amazing set of speakers coming in and talking about different services. And also, in the afternoon, we have a workshop which is from. It's not just about building; it's an hands-on workshop, and you will be given the links to do a couple of things and build and deploy something into the Azure as well. So those are the things. So take a look at the agenda as well, and make sure you are available. Any questions which is there? And
Vivek, can you share the scripts as well? Like, I just want to see the Maven plugin option that you have used and different commands that you have used.
sure, I'll just give me a minute then. I'll just post in all the links which I shared, and then I'll share that. I'll paste in the code itself. Is it fine? These are the commands I have used.
Yeah, fine for me.
Hi Vivek, this is Ram. How we can do using Gradle? We have seen Maven, right?
Uh-huh. So
Yeah.
let okay. Gradle Azure. So there are plugins available. So it depends. Let me for Azure App Service. I can share you Gradle one. So I have pasted the code. I mean the complete commands which I have used so that you can also reuse. But these are all commands which are also available. If you do a search or go back to the chat, there is um, one link I posted at the start of the session. Before the session started, we were about different things and what not available out there. Let me post it again, for you to uh, use it.
Thanks, Vivek.
So this is the link. You can see,
Hello, Vivek.
Okay. Is there any limitation on Azure Spring Cloud? Um, I've not come across that. I'm not, heard anything, but you know, I see. You need to take a look at it from a use case perspective. What use case you want to use it? That is something which you need to keep in mind. Yeah, somebody was asking a question. No, no, you can't do it all the things in free account. Spring Cloud, especially. Rest of the things you can obviously try it in the free account. The container registry um, and the container instance and other things you can definitely use it in free account, and also app service. Yes. Any, I saw someone unmuting and asking question as a,
Hello, Vivek.
yeah.
Yeah, I was just planning to write this Azure architect. Then, then could you suggest something on that side also?
Sorry.
Like I'm just planning to write a Azure architect exam. Then could you suggest something, some of the site which I can refer to, or for the examination, something which make me to pass the exam?
Sure. One is Azure. You know about MS Learn, Microsoft Learn.
Yes.
So let me try and share that Microsoft. Is it AZ 300 which you are trying to do?
AG AJ 303.
303. Okay. So one of the way to prepare for the exam is to understand the skills measured, right? So let me share the screen and I'll just show you, and then we can take other question. Where is that? Yeah. So this is the Azure 303, and you just need to go there, and this is very simple. Like you give a search for Azure 303 exam, and you'll end up hearing from Google. This is the most important thing. So when you go into the skills measured, right, they have a detailed outline on which of the things you need to prepare for, and how much percentage of the questions will come under which topics. So there is already a clarity in terms of what are those questions or what are those things which it will cover in terms of exam perspective, right? And then there is learning path, like the learning path which I provided for Java. there is a learning path which is already there. So you just go through these these learning path and make sure that you prepare for that specific thing. And there are other ways as well. This is completely free, available for you to prepare. And for exam, planning out your exam and preparing for test things, there are other things like Measure Up or the Viz Labs or any other places where they have test papers and practice tests and other things to prepare. So go through that as well. It's good to have a test paper and things. I would suggest Measure Up for test paper preparation. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, thank you, Vivek.
Okay, there is a question. Let me address that question and then Spring Boot is, I mean, embedded into Tomcat. If we are going to use other serve, then we need to install them in observation. So no, obviously, without Tomcat, you can also use JBoss and other things. There are documentations about that as well. I've just used the simple Spring Boot Tomcat, but definitely you can build an application with other JBoss and other things and then use it. And does Microsoft use MS OpenJDK on Azure, or it is okay to use JDK for them? You can use any JDK. It provides both. You can use any of those JDKs. And can we use a single app service plan for multiple web apps? Yes, you can. Any other questions we have? Please do join in tomorrow as well. I think tomorrow morning's two sessions are amazing. And after that, the workshop is obviously something really I'm looking forward as well. Anything you have, Rashmita, to
No, Vivek, not in particular. I mean, it was a really amazing session today, and thank you once again, Vivek. Thank you all for joining us. And as Vivek said, that yes, please do come back tomorrow for an amazing session. We will start our session tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning. And please do send your feedback. I have shared the survey link with the event code in the chat. Thank you all once again. Have a great evening.
thanks all. Thank you for joining in, and I'll catch up with you all tomorrow morning.